When you picture work in Japan, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's probably that image of the dedicated salaryman, loyal to one company for his entire life. But how true is that stereotype anymore? Today, we're going to find out by digging into some fascinating research that really caught the beginning of a huge shift in what truly motivates people at work in Japan.
Right, this is the classic perception, the whole tradition of lifetime employment. The deal was pretty simple. You give your unwavering loyalty to one company, and in return, you get total job security right up until you retire. It's a really powerful image, and it's basically defined Japanese work culture for decades, at least in the eyes of the rest of the world. So here's the big question. Does that old model still hold up? I mean, in a world with global competition, with totally new generations coming into the workforce, has the very idea of a successful career in Japan completely changed? To figure that out, we can't just guess. We've got to look at the evidence. To get to the real answer, we can't just rely on old assumptions. We need cold, hard evidence. And that's exactly what the authors of this study set out to do, to scientifically test if that classic story about Japanese motivation is still the whole story. The research we're diving into is a really solid study from 2005, done with PricewaterhouseCoopers. And they were thorough. They surveyed over 600 employees and managers in the Tokyo area, and they zeroed in on those big, influential companies. So this gives us a really good, data-driven snapshot of the corporate world as it was changing back then. Now, to make sense of all the data, the researchers used a classic idea called Herzberg's two-factor theory. It's actually a pretty simple but powerful way to think about motivation. It just splits it into two buckets. You've got intrinsic factors, that's the internal stuff, the drivers that make you feel good about your work. And then you have extrinsic factors. Those are the external rewards, like your salary and job security.
Okay, so with that framework in mind, the study asked a really simple question. What do Japanese employees actually value most? And let me tell you, the answers they got pretty much fly in the face of some of our most deeply held beliefs about the workplace culture there.
So check this out. What's really interesting here is what's sitting at the top of the list. Number one, it's not security. It's not company loyalty. It's an intrinsic motivator, a personal sense of achievement. In fact, if you look at the top 5, 3 of them are intrinsic, all about personal accomplishment, getting recognized, and growing as a person. And this right here, this might be the most stunning finding in the whole paper. The very thing we thought was the bedrock of Japanese work culture, job security, was actually ranked as less important than the chance for self-growth and being evaluated fairly. That single piece of data tells you a massive shift is underway. And this chart just makes it crystal clear. Just look at the scores. Employees rated sense of achievement way up at a 5.97 out of 7. Now compare that to job security, all the way down at 4.80. The data is screaming that this workforce is way more driven by personal fulfillment than by the promise of a job for life. Okay, so if that's what employees want, do their bosses actually get it? Well, the study found that while managers mostly have a decent idea of what motivates their teams, there are some really crucial gaps in their perception, places where they just aren't seeing the full picture. It turns out managers tend to think about the big picture stuff, the company's growth, formal promotions, that kind of thing. But what employees said they valued more were the day-to-day realities of their job, the quality of their direct boss, their relationships with their coworkers, and their actual working conditions. These might seem like small differences, but those misalignments can have a huge impact on morale. So what does all of this data really add up to? Well, it's pointing to something huge. A fundamental shift in the unwritten rules, the social contract of the Japanese workplace. A whole new set of expectations is being formed between companies and the people who work for them. Now, it's important to be clear here, and the authors really stress this. This isn't some sudden, dramatic break from the past. It's an evolution. The best way to think about it is like a spectrum, not a light switch. Those traditional values haven't just vanished. They're blending with a new, more individual mindset. So this is the crucial point right here. The goal itself is shifting. The old ideal was lifetime employment, all about the security you get from staying put in one company. The new ideal is lifetime employability, which is all about developing the skills that make you a valuable professional, whether you stay where you are or move on to something new. Honestly, this table from the study just sums it all up perfectly. You can see this clear move from a group focus to an individual one, from just being busy to being focused on actual accomplishments. And I think this is the most important one, from suppressing what an individual needs for the good of the company to expressing and developing those needs. It's a really profound change in how people are thinking. Even though this research was focused on Japan, It really captures a shift that's happening in workplaces all over the world. It kind of forces us to question all those old assumptions. And it leaves us with one last thought. What truly motivates you to do your best work? And just as important, do the leaders at your company actually know the answer to that question?